Warm greetings. Welcome to today's session on understanding the nuances of being women in architecture. The discussion on women in architecture is placed in the larger purview of being in the diverse fields of the built environment for those women who started their career with architecture education. The session is conducted with the support of Eco Development and Research Cell, a not-for-profit initiative of the environmental design consultant, Ahmedabad. My name is Mansee Bal Bhargava, and I am representing environmental design consultants, and I'm also the host of the session today. I'm glad to start this conversation with women engaging in the practice and pedagogy of the built environment. The aim is to celebrate the presence and participation of women in shaping the built environment. The objective is to understand, document, and then disseminate the biographical journey of women from diverse fields of architecture and built environment, as mentioned, and especially those who, as again mentioned, who started with architecture education or background. Through the study, the intention is to acknowledge the contribution of women in the profession, bring forth the critical points that need to be addressed at individual, institutional, and collective level, as what makes or breaks or tweaks the career of women architects in India. The study is also a call for action to everyone to realize the need for an equitable practice, both in pedagogy as well as professional practice, in order to advance towards also an equitable society and sustainable architecture. The study is based on the presumption that the profession is heavily patriarchal, and we need to change that and bring it to a level playing ground. The method applied for the study is called autoethnography, which in simple words mean it's the life journey of our guest or the person whom we are going to discuss with, the woman architect, and it's going to be our pen. The outcome from this research is at this moment planned in two ways: a YouTube series, which can be watched through the YouTube link, which is placed in the flyer, as well as it will be placed in the chat box. And we also wish to have a coffee table book once we reach at least 100 women interaction. And I'm very pleased to share that we just crossed 50 women in this June, and it has taken much more speed, I must say. It took me 5 years to reach 50, and I think in last 1 month, I'm doing nearly 5. So I think it's also the credibility to put forth in this research. Today, we are going to have a very interesting discussion, and the guest of honor today is Dr. Kankana Narayan Dev. I hope I have pronounced you rightly, Kankana. First of all, thank you so much to attend to my phone and message and agree to take this conversation in such a short notice. And before I invite you to our interaction, let me just have a brief introduction of yours to put on record here. Dr. Kankana Narayan Dev is a humanitarian architect and researcher with a passion for socially responsible architecture and sustainable design. She is teaching at the Department of Design, Tejpur University, and also at many other places. She engages in doing a lot of trainings and workshops. Kankana holds a doctorate from IIT Guwahati, where she made a deep contribution to addressing the housing needs of the displaced population in the Northeast during all kinds of humanitarian crises. Her social enterprise, namely Darang Eco Works, focuses on designing and constructing sustainable houses and furniture using green wood bamboo. And if we look at her detailed resume, her commitment to sustainable design and community engagement is very clearly evident, and also in her endeavors and awards which she has received over the years. So that's in brief, and without much further ado, let me just head on to invite Kankana and also discuss with her how it is to be architect and other things around. So Kankana, first of all, thank you so much for agreeing to take this interview once again. And I hope you are fine that we are recording, we are live, as well as we are going to put this interaction into words and put you in the coffee table book. Over to you.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you so much for inviting me. And, it's really overwhelming to know that you have reached 50 over women through your research.
Yeah. Okay, so shall we start with the conversation? You're fine that we are recording and we are live and we are going to write this out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. So let me do one thing. Let me just take you back to many years ago. Not too much, but yes, some years ago when you were in high school and when you were planning what next, and uh, what was the environment between friends and family that actually brought you to architecture?
Okay, so as I said, like when you asked me today morning, like which city, and
Huh.
I specially, tried to call it a town. So I would say
Mm.
that I was raised in a very small town, but
Mm-hmm.
currently it is in the list of smart cities, which
Mm-hmm.
is which is now part of Boroland. So those days it was like our childhood, like I would say it was a beautiful town in the foothills of Bhutan. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely there were challenges because those were the most, extreme times in Assam in terms of
Mm-hmm.
violence, in terms of, different kinds of liberations that were going on for,
Mm-hmm.
freedom. So because of which I was actually put into a boarding school uh,
Mm-hmm.
because it was not a very safe environment there. And while in the boarding school, like I shifted to a new town, which was a little larger than my hometown, and yeah, and then I actually aspired to become a doctor, like frankly
Uh-huh.
speaking. I really had that, like I never went to a formal art school as such, but when I
Mm-hmm.
shifted to the boarding school, like we used to have this weekend, art classes. So
Mm-hmm.
those days it was kind of a pain to attend to those classes, but then somehow I started liking it. And then
Uh-huh.
that's when I picked up, the skill of sketching and like the likeness to it. And then following my 12th, I shifted to Delhi, where one of my cousin was studying architecture in SPA. So
Uh-huh.
before that, I didn't have any exposure to, the whole profession of architecture. And I think he was roughly around first year, so most of the assignments were basic design and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Whereas I was preparing for medicine, which was like too much of, studies mugging up all the time.
Uh-huh.
So it was kind of a break to help him in his basic design assignment. So,
Uh-huh.
so that was a parallel thing going on. But then
Uh-huh.
when I could not clear the mains of medicine, I thought that no, this is what I want to do. Like because I got a little bit of experience of or exposure to architecture education that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's how led on to the architectural education, but sadly I didn't apply for any architectural colleges that year because my focus was completely on medicine. So
Mm-hmm.
luckily the Northeast people, we have reservations in different colleges, so that's how I landed in college in Goa, where I pursued my bachelor's in
That's
architecture.
Goa College of Architecture.
No, actually it was Vidyavardhan's Institute of Design and Environment in Architecture. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, because as you know, the study is on being women in the profession. I would like to ask you, how was it in the college time, college days, and all? Oh, I see. I saw an animal climbing your window, and that was quite interesting.
Oh,
Can
that's a
you?
monkey.
Huh.
We stay in, like, if you see, our house is like a jail and we are in captivity and we have all these animals around.
Nature outside, and that's
Yeah.
why you invite people. I hear that. We are going to talk about it later, but I wish to stay in your college days
Yeah.
and understand from you, how was it in your college days? Did you realize during studying in your bachelor's or master's, oh, the monkey is quite attractive to me, to be honest. Anyway, did you realize that it is gonna be different being a girl or a woman in the profession? Or it was just like a free mind? As I can recall my time as well. It hit me really much late in life that, oh, it is going to be different. Did it really occur in you, or did anybody made you realize that you have to do things in certain way, or you were feeling that I have to do things in certain way? How was it?
Absolutely correct. Like we in education, we never face this discrimination. Like even while now I'm into pedagogy, like teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So there also we never, differentiate a girl student or a boy
Genders.
student.
Hmm.
And during our times, we were so motivated to become architects. And
Hmm.
I think we had very good female faculties also to
Hmm.
like, uh, motivate us. So in academics, I don't remember a single day that, that this profession will be so challenging. It was way later in life, and and that's when we realized that, somewhere it's difficult to.
So the profession itself is challenging, but my question will be again further. Uh, did you find that being woman, it is more challenging or it is anyway challenging? We all know that the profession is challenging per se, but
Mhm.
does being woman makes it an extra challenging in your opinion? And when
Yes.
did you really realize that, oh, I am woman and I have to deal with this profession differently? When
So it
was it?
was during it's a small incident. Where I realized that there is a challenge coming up, but it was a cute challenge. And then I'll say. So I had these two friends, and all three of us were in Oroville. We were interning at Oroville Earth Institute. So
Oh, wow.
we were on site,
Mm.
and it was a simple gesture of on site, freeing yourself, like you go to pee or something.
Hands on, huh?
Yeah, so that's when, my male colleagues, it was very, because usually, at least then, I think 2009, it was 9, 10. So then the site provisions were not there,
Mm.
sanitation provisions were not there. So, but thankfully, I had co-workers who were women laborers. So they took me come, you join us. Then I thought that, okay, they have some space where I can go and, free myself. Then they go to the bushes, and then they said, now you sit down. Like, this is it. So, and they were all in saris. And then I realized that wearing a sari, like sari as a, dress in the construction site, we usually might think, right? Shorts and a t-shirt, it's
But
efficient.
sari is very comfortable, by the
Yeah,
way.
sari is very comfortable. So you just sit down and, so that's what I learned. And then, over the years, whenever I visit a construction site, I often wear a kurta because, at least you can
Yes.
be little more. So this was a very small incident, but then the thing that the women the laborers, the way they were all together, that
Mhm.
was one good thing that I observed. So there was a particular time when a bell would be ring, and then all women will go together to that area. So that was a
Mhm.
time when no, males were around in that area. So that kind of sort of understanding at the site. But then I realized, those were very petty challenges, which later on became, much more,
Mhm.
like when I was working in TISs, I remember there were remarks by my male colleagues, you know,
Mhm.
as to what this female can do, So that went from just a small difference to when you are in the, field and you are working with uh, male colleagues, especially who were that time in the, from the government. So they would put up derogatory remarks sometimes, either they would what do you call, give you sarcastic comments. But
Mhm.
I would say it was quite challenging. It was like every time you have to prove yourself,
Huh.
that you are taking a decision. So, and I think for a guy, it would not have been to prove your,
Yes,
proposal.
indeed.
In
Indeed.
like it was maybe because I was a female, so they made me, what do you call, like when they were making some 30,000 houses,
Mm.
they like challenged me to complete a few in within some times, and all they
Mm.
did was, standing beside me on site, putting their hands on their waist.
Mm.
So that was a kind
करके
of
दिखाओ, kind of
ha
करके दिखाओ.
literally karke dikhao. So that was a kind of challenge that I faced. And
Mm.
like when I look back now, I realize that that was patriarchy there. Like I was
Hmm.
too young then, like so I didn't like I just what do you call karna bola hai to like just do it. But I think that was something that was like it was a uh, like situation where they just make you uncomfortable, or they try to demean you or demotivate
They do
you.
it naturally, actually. They don't
Yeah,
plan it. It's natural.
they don't. It's natural. Yeah, it's natural. Yeah.
And that's where the problem lies, that they don't realize that they're doing harm. They just it's so natural for them. And unfortunately for women also, it is natural most of the time, unless and until there are people like you who really stand up right from early career. But you face a lot of brunt because you are one is vocal, and I have faced that. So I just wish to understand from you, when you were facing these kind of challenges, and you were trying to manage your career, and at the same time I'm also aware that you went for your higher education and all. How did you take those decisions, like when to do higher education, and what was the circumstances? And then I'm also aware that you brought yourself back to your native nearby native, I must say.
Yeah.
How did you, all these things come together, from your masters to going for PhD and so on? Would you like to throw some light on that?
Okay, so it was like when I was studying in Goa, so
Mhm.
on the second year of our education, like we were taken for a study tour to a place called Kudal. So
Ah.
there, one organization called Conback,
Hmm.
uh, they were doing amazing work. They're still doing
Hmm.
great work with bamboo. And then I met a lot of youth from Northeast who
Hmm.
were workers in that organization.
Hmm.
So that kind of motivated me that they're importing all the bamboo from Northeast. The labor
Hmm.
is imported from Northeast. Like, uh, why can't, the similar kind of practice be set up in Northeast? So
Hmm.
that was one bug that, kind of hit me when I was in the second year. So from the third year itself, I started, exploring ways of how I can, capitalize on this natural material, because
Hmm.
already it was an established, good sustainable
Yes.
material. There's
And
no doubt about
it's
it.
a very good scholarship also available. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I started I participated at a World Bamboo Congress when I was in the third year of my bachelor's, and then like I started exploring, experimenting with it, and then while working on it, I in 2010 there was one event in Nagaland where I
Hmm.
met one photographer from Orissa. So I collaborated with him, like, and he introduced me to a very good friend of mine called Prerna. So
Hmm.
she also did but she was a senior to me in architecture education. So she had done her thesis project in, like, in rural Nagaland. So that's
Hmm.
how we kind of collaborated. And we thought, like, how do we empower this rural youth? Because they don't know about the modern bamboo joinery. So,
Hmm.
from 2011, under that photographers NGO, we started a chapter called Bamboo and Men, where
Hmm.
me and Prerna would go to different villages of Northeast, giving the modern bamboo joinery trainings to youth. So
Hmm.
sometimes we collaborated with the local church or the forest department or things like that. So that went on till 2013. For almost 2 years, we were doing that. And while I was doing it, one of my professor, like he informed me that Tata Institute of Social Sciences is, coming to Guwahati. And then by the time, the 2 years of struggle, I would say, because in Northeast, people somehow associate bamboo with poverty.
Hmm.
Because,
It's just like cycle. We
yeah,
treat cycle with poverty.
yeah. So it's like, it's too common. So it was too abundant. And like, it's
And it's a
hard.
luxury. It's a
Yeah.
luxury and exotic in other parts of the country.
Yeah, yeah. So I realized that here it was quite difficult to find a client. Do I manage to make one or two clients? But they too, they were very, like I would say, my first client, he was ready to make a modern bamboo house for himself,
Hmm.
only
Hmm.
in the condition that, that he will demolish it once he has money and make a pakka house, like, according
Wow.
to him. So, I took it up as a challenge and
Mm-hmm.
I made him that house, and, he's still residing in that house all these years.
Mm-hmm.
Where he thought that ek saal mein he is going to demolish it and like make a, like, proper house. The way the whole detailing was done, the family is still residing. They have a baby, I think she's going to school now. So those kind of clients were there, one or two, but it was not difficult to sustain, like, economically. So when the job opportunity in Tata Institute of Social Sciences came, where they were looking for trainers, on
Mm-hmm.
earthquake resistant construction, so it's somehow aligned with my kind of work. So I applied and I was fortunate to get in there. And that experience actually was an eye opener. And like I got a lot of exposure with it, an entire typology, studied and volunteered in different, post disaster situations, like licensed with the government. And then I felt that, after 2 years, and when the project got over and they placed me in something else, which was not much of my interest, because that
Mm-hmm.
was campus development. And again, as you said, like at 11, they would give me a call that I should go to the campus. Like these are challenges of being a woman. And then, I had just got married. So, like, there were challenges there. So I decided that one issue that I faced while addressing to the needs of the displaced in disasters was that time we didn't have a proper guideline on how they should be, what are the minimum standards. Those fear
Mm-hmm.
had started, but it was not so strict. So I thought like I should probably, get into something bigger than urban, go to more than architecture. So that's when I decided that, I'll do urban design. And my husband was that time in Manipal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I landed up there. So he was working there. So that's how I landed up in Manipal. And then in Manipal, I think I was there for 3 years, and like I liked academics. In Manipal they gave me the opportunity to teach, so I thought that okay, this is what like I'll enjoy. So, and I used to share all my stories of TISs, and because by that time it was 5 years of roaming around in the villages and the hills of Northeast. So and they also encouraged me to develop a course on sustainable architecture on alternate materials, so which I really enjoyed. So I conducted studios for the 3 years there. And then one fine day, after all this, I get a call from yourstory.com. And a
Mm-hmm.
journalist ended with a question that, so when are you coming back and resuming your work? You know,
Uh-huh.
by the time I was, very happy in Manipal because it is a very comfortable place,
That's
no
the ODP
challenges.
wala campus. You talking
Yes,
about the
yes.
ODP?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So it's a very comfortable place, no challenges. It was a like, very pleasant time.
Smooth. Ah.
But she was documenting my, because she had visited that client whom I said that he's going to demolish the house in 1 year. She went to attend a birthday party next to it. So she saw
Mm-hmm.
the house and she was amazed that such a house can be built. Like, you can build a permanent house using bamboo in a modern way. So
Mm-hmm.
she took the phone number from the client and she called me. And it was almost 6 years that the house has been built. And
Mm-hmm.
no one appreciated, not even my family, They never, like, I could not convince my
It's
father
घर
to
की
make a,
मुर्गी ना, घर की मुर्गी and घर का material.
yeah. So I could not even convince my father to make that
I'm
similar
not
construction.
surprised at all.
So when she called, it was like, I was surprised. I was too, like, I was in a very, like, I was in a phase that, okay, I'll just preach it in academics. Let me,
Mhm.
like, not take too much challenges.
Mhm.
But the way she asked me the last question,
Mhm.
I thought something was calling me home. Like, and just that same day, my job also got regularized. It was,
Ah.
two, things at the same time. But for some months, I could not, like, while cooking, while eating, I would just think about how can I go back? Like, what is the
Mhm.
future there? Like, and now I definitely had some more knowledge about architecture because I had done my master's. So I thought, like, what if I make it come up with a guidelines for settlement development. So those kind of
Mhm.
things I was formulating. And then I thought, like, what best than, applying for a PhD in the IIT there, and then experiment with what I had planned, like what I learned extra and what I found challenging on site, like what was needed. So, and I thought that one solution can work. Like, I had Eureka solution kind of a thing. With that, I just came back and
Before PhD, we all had Eureka solution.
yeah, so just at the starting of that PhD. So maybe I was more what do you call Hawame, because that
Naive, and that's fine to be
yeah,
naive.
so the Science and Environment Council, they also recognize it as a good model or something like that. So the first 2 years of my research, I realized that, oh, this is not the solution. Spending more time with, like, then I had to focus, like, that not one solution for all disasters, but every disaster is different. The whole profile of the state is different. The community is different. So that's how I kind of again narrowed down. And then though the research was initially a product design kind of a thing, where I would make a
You're in
prototype.
Department of Design in
Yes,
I.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So
Now
something which,
established discipline, huh?
sorry?
It is now an established discipline there.
Yes. So then I shifted my focus to co-design. Like, that's what I found out working with the communities, that there are already models available, so many examples. But if the community doesn't accept it, like if we are not able to get community acceptance, it's not working. Especially in social housing, it's the community is the owner, or community is the maker, everything. They are the maintainer of the whole project. So that's how the whole shift from, one prototype or one solution became, multiple solutions, multiple things, and but a strategy for co-design with the, displaced people. So yeah, so that's how, this whole
Interesting.
transitions from education to PhD. And then and I tried to, and thankfully my supervisor also kind of agreed, and he gave me the support to, explore all of it. But then I think I could have done much more of the thing, but COVID really impacted us a lot. So my later part of the research was greatly affected by COVID. So
So when you talk about going to Manipal for studying in Goa, then Manipal, then coming back and all, and you already mentioned that you were married in Manipal and then you were planning. How do you see as being women in the sector when we are already dreaming half of the time? If I correct me if I am
absolutely.
right. So
I
half
I
of the
call
time
us
we are
like professional dreamers.
yes, so we keep thinking that yes, karenge wo. So and then we also get this load of doing profession and also of course being woman. There is a house which we have to take care. How was Konkana managing it, and how did you graduate managing your family and professional balance?
I think I'm still
Graduated over
the
the
roller
years.
coaster. I'm still not managed. Like,
Oh,
it's
you
still
have not yet graduated. Okay.
no, graduated in the sense.
Balancing. I mean, I'm saying the balancing act between family and profession.
It's still like, like I have both the challenging and the supporting family. So it's like sometimes you have to prove yourself, sometimes you get the support, and like, so
Course.
things are like quite challenging. So I wouldn't say that I have found the key to success in that. Like, so either I
In the
sometimes I
balance.
miss out on something or the other, I'll miss out. Like, if on the home front, or like I have not been able to get, I would say, at the same time both the things in a platter. So no,
You know,
never.
how did I get that balance moment? Post 50, I started giving damn to both. And then life is easier. So life became very easy for me. That जो होगा जितना होगा. So no complaints should come to me. मेरे से इतना ही बना. So I use a very common word in my day-to-day conversation. Humanly, this was only possible. And period.
Yeah.
इसके आगे thank you so much.
It is. And I know, like, like
And
with all our
getting off that
hormones,
superwoman
sometimes
hat,
I think
getting
we
off
have,
that superwoman hat. I don't want to be superwoman. Sorry. So, I think that's what is maturity. But you were mentioning about some interesting things about people who moved you. You already mentioned some of them, but I would like to ask in terms of your profession and also the way you conduct your ethics, professional ethics and life. I'm sure there are more inspiring people in your life. Would you like to mention some of it?
Yeah. So, in terms of encouraging me, or like when I was going through my bamboo journey, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I had my mentor, Mukul Mahant. So he
Mm-hmm.
was a electrical engineer, very senior
Mm-hmm.
person. Like we lost him few years back, but from him, uh, I kind of shifted my, that the five-star bamboo image to the social bamboo image.
From
So I,
class to mass.
yeah, from class to mass, yeah. So that's how, like, he would preach about it, that there are so many people to address him. Can you address them? Like,
Hmm.
so yeah. So that was he definitely played an
That's very enlightening because our profession is heavily infected with serving the classes.
yeah,
We have
because that's
we have to
how.
be people's architect.
Yeah,
So
so that's how maybe we have to survive, because it's only the affluent who can afford an architect.
mm,
So others can't. So,
mm,
but that's how, that's why maybe we have to keep on hanging to an academic institution, or
uh,
like,
uh, uh,
like I keep challenging myself, because I am doing some projects, and also, can't give up academics, because the kind of projects that I'm working, those are mostly research based, or
mm,
like,
mm,
social housing sector, mostly
mm,
volunteering or things like that.
So academics is a very support apart from being passionate about it.
Yeah, yeah, it's
And I think we find many super women or super intelligent women have actually clinged on to academics for various reasons, of course. But the monetary support, the smooth layout of the profession also makes a huge difference in the way we would like to find a balance between work and life.
uh,
And
but
this
it,
set
it, it is
patterns
nowadays it is not so smooth, I'll say, because we
is
have
equally
so much of,
challenging.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's very challenging. And for me, I think, like, Saturday, Sunday are the most busiest days. So, like,
I
yeah.
don't teach anywhere. Still, Saturday, Sunday are busiest days. To be
So,
honest, I really wish there should not be any Saturday, Sunday. Because
yeah,
then you're focusing only on one thing. Because
yeah,
Saturday, Sunday are both the things. So that makes a huge difference. So just trying to understand. So you said that you are teaching at Tejpur right now. So
yeah.
is there an architecture department there now?
No, it's a
Or
design department.
time?
So with only master's courses as of now.
Hmm.
Uh, and then we are planning to start with the bachelor's from this
Hmm.
year.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, as of now, it's multidisciplinary design. So students
Yes.
take up
Yes.
different kind of
Yes.
projects and stuff like
Hmm.
that.
So that brings me to another question. Again, you have mentioned a little bit about it a few times. Some important decisions that you made in life, which actually brought you where you are today as a professional, as a person. And I do recall when you talked about somebody called you and when are you coming back as one of those. But I'm sure there are more decisions which you may have to take, which all women are taking either again to balance family and life or to excel in profession or to give more weightage to family. Would you like to share some more of them?
Yeah, like so during COVID, like I
Hmm.
had a workshop in a small studio in Guwahati.
Hmm.
So, but I could not sustain, like financially managing the whole team and like all of it. So that's when the support of my brother came in, like, and we started
Hmm.
off, we thought of engaging those people in a small organic farm, because
Hmm.
he is a pediatrician. So he found
Hmm.
there is a huge gap between of nutrition among
Yes.
the privileged children. So, how do we take care of food and such like it? So we
Hmm.
started experimenting and working on mushrooms and like
Hmm.
stuff like
Hmm.
that. So that's when I closed down my Guwahati chapter and I moved to the small town, because
That
it was,
town is
sorry,
that town is what's the
Mongolden,
name?
Mongolden. Yeah, it's in
Mm.
Narayan, Assam. Yeah, so
Ah,
we shifted there because most of our workers were from this same town. So
okay.
instead of keep putting a place on rent in the city, which is and what one thing that uh, was good about COVID was this online platforms acceptance. Like it
Yes.
didn't matter to me whether I
Even
stay for
clients,
Monday. Huh?
clients were also meeting online.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
now they continue to meet online. They have to pay
Yeah,
less
it's
to the
so
architect.
convenient, so convenient. So I thought, like, instead of why I'm paying so high cost, because cities are
Mm,
costly, like
mm,
for my staff accommodation or the studio
mm,
or the whole space, which was
mm,
completely rental. So the
mm,
everything is shifted to our ancestral hometown. Not
mm,
like not even my parents had stayed there actually
mm,
before. But COVID made us realize that this place is convenient, everything is reachable.
mm.
So yeah, that
Made
was
it up.
one
You
decision.
made the house according to your needs.
Yeah, so those things we did, and that was one decision I took. And now currently I'm sticking to another decision, not shifting with my husband. So
Okay.
like, he is a hematologist settled in Kolkata, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel sad sometimes that he sends me a lot of vacancies, like, and I know that there's a lot of opportunity outside Assam for me, but
Huh.
somehow the kind of work satisfaction, or what
Mm-hmm.
I had thought of, like all these years committed to serving this region.
Mm.
So I'm somehow reluctant. I don't know, like, you know it's always a tussle between myself, like whether I'm
Can completely relate with it. I so much relate with it. It's nearly now 10 years. I wish to really move out of Ahmedabad. I really want to go back to my roots, and I'm born and brought up in Chhattisgarh. I so much want to do that, and it's just that having a family here, you know, it's the only thing which is stopping me, and I'm not able to take that decision. So kudos to you that at least you could make that decision. I'm really looking for these options, and I get those options, and then I'm weighing between these, and then I fall back. And I have tried few times, so I can completely relate with the juggling which you are going through. And I'm sure you both are also transporting yourself back and forth all the time, and that's another task on head. And
and
mm,
so
so
it's
let
very
me ask
challenging.
you a very tricky question here. You may choose not to answer. Do you think having a spouse from the same profession makes a difference in the career of women? Yes, no, and in both case, how and why?
uh if you say architecture, it does help, like
Yeah. I
so
mean architecture only. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, like I have seen, like, colleagues of mine, like for me, if I would break, because it was research, so I could take a, this one, postpartum break, or like, those
Mhm,
maternity leaves and all was possible. But if I
mhm,
am a practicing architect, and if I have
mhm,
to take that much of time as a
mhm.
break, which is not possible unless and
Huh.
until you have a support, a
Mm,
husband taking care of it. And
mm,
initially, like how I also suffered was like when my uh, partner, like Prerna, when I said, like,
mm,
our we were doing quite well, we could have
mhm,
probably made something, like, uh, like next to Kudal if she was
huh,
here, but she got married and she shifted to Germany. So,
mm,
so there are challenges of those kind, because
huh.
again, she also, it's like, sometimes I won't say frustrated, but that whole, she
This
misses,
question,
yeah, the question of her shifting
questions,
there, and, because of her husband, and like so much we as women we get all these challenges,
yes,
and I think it
absolutely.
is
That's what we are
lesser.
trying to understand,
Yeah,
how we have to make those decisions.
yeah. So, and
Interestingly, when man works at X place, they are just footed,
yeah,
you know.
so it's like that. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's definitely a good support. Like if they're of like if you have an architect husband, but yeah. So
Its grass is greener on the other side, to be honest. Let me tell you that, because I have
yeah,
been
maybe.
thinking all my life that I could have done much better if I had a different spouse, because then I would have had charted my own path rather than being a shadow of somebody for a long, long time. So honestly speaking, even if I have 30 years of practice, my practice is now only 10 years old. I had to start from zero, literally from zero. So I still am struggling to establish my practice or whatever and my education, because I take independent courses. But whenever I'm talking to anybody, I bring those reflections because it's a co-learning process. It's not that I just wish to learn from you. You know, it's like both of us should be able to share. So that's why I'm sharing this with you, not to really highlight it, but just to let you know it's really a grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah, and I would agree to it because when I was studying architecture, one thing I was pretty sure that I'm not going to marry an architect. So
And
that
that
was
is it.
also
When
there.
I was studying, I thought I should marry an architect so that I can do well in the profession.
For me,
Because
I was like, it will be all the time, we'll be struggling and fighting over some design decisions. It will be too much of a
and we did start with the eating, sleeping, walking, talking, breathing, and it was very unhealthy practice, I must say. And that's why I said grass is greener on the other side. But it's also a bit basically individuals, you know. There are very good practitioners who both are doing. But when I started doing this research, I also realized that many a times in practice, most of the people who are coupled as the same profession, the male architect have gotten much more attention, acknowledgement, and appreciation from the society as compared to the counterpart female. I may be wrong, but when I started doing this research, I really found this as a pattern. And this pattern is changing now. But when we look at this a generation before my generation, it was very evident. I mean, much of our best of the teachers, best of the architects whom I know have a spouse as a same profession, I came to know about the spouse much later. And that was quite demotivating for me, to be honest. And I mean, anyway, we can talk about it some other time. Let me move on to the next question here. And it's a very simple question, to be honest, but you may be able to throw some light on it because of your years of practice. What do you think is a basic difference between, a man and a woman approaching a design as such and managing a business? So there are two questions, but looking at the gender aspect.
yeah. So
Or do you think there is no difference? That is also fine. I mean,
there is they are I would say like women are little more human over
mm,
men, like in terms of the
in the
emotional
design
quotient, the EQ quotient,
mm,
the emotional quotient of it,
is
like
higher.
and
Mm,
it's higher, and
mm,
sometimes we are too much we take our decisions by heart over, like the
mm,
financial consequences, or the economical consequences of that particular decision.
mm,
So that's where I think sometimes, yes, male are practical. Like, even now when I'm working, managing my labors or things with my brother, it's
mm,
making me little more uh, like, better with, like, that I can take part of the create. Like, we both have decided, you take part of the creative side, this part let me handle, because
mhm,
it's better, uh, like in Assam, I find it still less, but last November I was in Uttarakhand. So
mhm.
there I realize men don't even look at you when they speak. They're looking
It's
somewhere else,
that part
So
of country is heavily patriarchal.
yeah, so for
Northeast
me it
is
was,
still
yeah, so
maternal, huh?
yeah,
Matriarch.
so Northeast is still better, but there, like we were talking about making some decisions, and that person is looking at someone else. So I was confused whether he's talking to me or not. So that's how the whole thing is. Like, it's like all the time men on men talk. Like,
Mhm.
let a man talk to a man. That's what
By the
they.
way, we feel it in the rest of the country also. When you listen to other women, you will realize it. At
Yeah.
least first few times they are talking to the man if he has joined you. And I have lived for nearly 15 years. कि भाभी जी आई हैं उनको यहाँ बिठा दो और let's go to the site and let's go to the meeting room and discuss. And that was already too much for me,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And
So
so that is very interesting point that you raised. And what do you think are the major business approach differences? No,
oh, I'm so bad at business.
I,
So
I echo with you. I can't really make. I know even till date how to make money.
people they helped me, I there was a when I was studying in IIT, when I was doing my PhD there. So there was a competition on idea competition. So my
Uh,
idea was that one prototype given to everyone. So they said that all these things is fine, so you need to have a good business proposal. So I was shortlisted, in fact number one in the shortlist. So they send me to a team of, people who would help me with the business plan. Uske baad bhi nahi hua mere se. Like they're like, it's
I,
absolutely as an idea, it is very nice and very thing. But when you get down to those, chalking out that, then I
mm.
don't agree with this, I don't agree with that. No, we'll have to compromise on the comfort or this, that. So yeah, I think
And you
at least
remind me
me, I
of
am
the
very
many
bad with
proposals.
this.
You remind me of the many proposals even I have submitted to IITs where I think I really, really do bad in the business part of the proposal. All these incubations in IIT have the business proposal part.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I never got selected in any of it. So I can completely understand that I am really bad in that. But that brings me to a very simple question, which you can relate with yourself and also your co-workers. You had touched it very much in the beginning when you were talking about construction labors. But I'm sure there are some physical and psychological aspects that on a daily basis as a woman, we have to face it, and we are very cautious about whether we go to college, whether we go to any meetings or on the field. What do you think if it is there or not there in your case?
It is absolutely there. Like even the current workplace that I'm in, for a long time, it's been 3 years now. So for 2 years, I was the only female faculty. So
Mm-hmm.
the joy I had, the day a female faculty joined, I was like, I'm the happiest today. I don't know why. I cannot give you one straight answer to why, but yes, I was, missing that, link or thing like that. And just last week, we were again in a roundtable discussion with BMTPC. And
Mm-hmm.
so they had invited a colleague of mine, like she's also like both of us females. And we were both discussing, we need a man to run around for our errands, like submitting this. And her jagah everywhere. Like, see, one thing that I found it so difficult in practice was asking my clients my fees, because it's not, our fees are not prescribed. So many times maybe I have not taken fees, just
Uh-huh. I can
मतलब
relate with it.
कैसे
Completely
मांगे
robbed,
मतलब
intellectually robbed.
या कैसे मांगे मतलब जितना दिया है ना like just less, like I
I'm
keep
still
on.
struggling, by the way. I'm still struggling as of today as well.
Same
To
me, same me. I'm still not able to, I'll watch all your YouTube episodes if someone has
some tricks,
decoded it.
some tricks.
Some tricks of, how to ask the money. Like
We
how
have
have
to
you.
have some trainings actually in professional practice, and unfortunately, professional practice teaches everything else than how to ask for your fees.
Yeah. Because the fees are not fixed. Like it's not like, in fact, interior designers are doing much better because
A
their
lot
rates
of
are standard.
undercutting. And I think
Per
also
square feet is.
women are more better perceived as interior designers than as exterior designers or architects
Yeah.
and
So,
planners. No,
so we don't
we
have.
should start teaching how to lay out the business plan and how to ask for the money upfront. I know some of my acquaintances, they don't even draw a single line unless and until the advance money is given. And here I am sitting with projects with 1 or 2 years of my intellectual input, and even advance ka AB I have not managed to recover. So
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
they don't do a project because of logistical problems of theirs, but my hours have been put. So
huh,
now, just because they are not moving on with the project because of
huh,
other problems, like,
hmm.
so I'm like sad that bana hi nahi hai, to why should I ask? Like, but
These are ethical, we get
Yeah.
into ethical problems.
Yeah.
But I know some acquaintances that they are really strict enough to say बनाया नहीं तो आपका problem है, आप हमने तो अपना time दिया है, so कुछ तो देना पड़ेगा. So
Maybe I have to
for
build.
some time in my profession, I was also very keen to really just do the conceptualization and ideation. And then I was really not interested to do working drawings and getting it implemented on the site. And that was quite quick money, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'll just give up. कि नहीं करना है इसके आगे. आपको भी जब करोगे तब किसी और आर्किटेक्ट को रख लेना. इससे आपको इतना प्रॉफिट होगा, बिजनेस मॉडल दे दो, मेरे को छुट्टी कर दो. So what to do now? You have to try all kinds of things. But anyway, I'm very happy that I'm not doing consultancy much anymore. Not at all, to some extent, to be honest. My hands are too full with research and education. That brings me to a question on, opportunities of being woman. I'm sure there are moments when you must have realized, oh, in this kind of setting, in this kind of company or decisions, it is good to be woman. And likewise, vice versa, you must have realized कि कहाँ आ गए, फंस गए being a woman. Would you like to describe some events or incidents? Is
Yeah.
it
So
clear for you? Mm.
yeah, it is like just few months back. So there was this Indian art, architecture, and design Biennale. So
Hmm.
I happened to receive an email from the COA registrar
Hmm.
saying that you are shortlisted, or I don't remember the exact terms, but it
Hmm.
said that, like that I'll be one of the showcasing architects there.
Hmm.
So yeah, maybe like if I would have been a male from Northeast, so I don't know, like, but the kind of sector that I have selected, the humanitarian thing,
Hmm.
so there is very less women,
Absolutely.
so
Men
so
have to make money, yaar, for class, for the classes.
so still there are some men, like, so yeah, but I think being a woman there, like there are not many people there, and it helps in the sense to get the confidence of the community.
Yes.
Because if I were a man, then they would look at me as like kuch to, like, like she has come to make money or something. So gaining support or empathy from them
Hmm.
makes,
Hmm.
I think, little easier when you are a woman.
Mhm. Hmm.
Like I can straightforwardly go and talk to a how, like, mostly I had
Social
been,
projects. Social projects.
yeah, so mostly speaking to women because they
Hmm.
would be there at home or so. So if I would
Hmm.
have been a male, then I don't think it would have been that easier. And there were actually field works in which my male colleagues used to take me because that is to help them. So
I
yeah.
have heard this from more friends from this, by the way, that it becomes
Yes, yes.
easier
Yeah,
to
yes.
validate and authenticate that this is a serious research. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
becomes
yeah.
easier.
So,
Oh, I'm sure, I'm sure. This is a very common thing. Again, the way society looks at things. Would you like to put on record some of the, funniest, or let's say, very strange kind of remarks that people make to women architects? Maybe you or somebody else whom you know, when you are at work, you already mentioned one while we were talking about कमर में हाथ रख के पूछते थे हाँ करके दिखाओ.
no.
But
I
maybe
can't.
some more, so that see, this conversation is to prepare more to the younger generation. I'm developing role models so that they know कि ऐसा आता ही है. It's not that it is happening to them only. It's a
See,
common practice.
you have to be argumentative most of the time. Okay.
हाँ.
And I'm more like a boss. Like, like I'll have a, like, though I'm a very soft person, like who
Uh-huh.
can't even ask the client for money, but the same person when I'll be on site with, like, like I'll behave as if like I'm a man kind of thing. Only then things will keep moving. And there are remarks like, like they'll, like in Assam, it's called mota tukra. Like, like it's like a male. So when it's like, you're a male, like, female.
Man life.
Yeah, man-like person. Like, though I was as a kid also, maybe I was little tomboyish, okay, for
Uh-huh.
those times. But now to be on site all alone, it is, I don't have those inhibitions. I have so many female friends of mine, like they find it even difficult to sit in a bus or a public transport seat attached to a, somebody is sitting
You're
aside.
talking about rest of the country?
Not rest, even here, even here.
Even
So
here,
I will
because
be
I'm
the
sitting
one,
in
you know,
Northeast,
who will,
it looks
yeah,
quite comfortable to be
yeah.
in the gendered place space.
Yeah, so I'll be the one who will be sitting there, and if the person pushes, I'll give him one,
Ulta
like a
push.
shepherd push. So that kind of things I do a lot, like because yeah, on site, like especially like even like sometimes it is a different angle also. Like I'll tell you, like I was working with a industrialist. So I had innovated a material mix. So I had to make some, prototypes to get it all done. So and then he asked me that since it is little different kind of work, it's better if you be on site to motivate it. So it was a happy thing to for a women to be on that, you know, completely men surrounded environment. So they
Uh-huh.
would listen to me over the, the other person. So that
Mm.
was again another way. Maybe sometimes there were two. While there were instances when they would be like putting their hands on the waist, but there are also instances when they're too extra cautious about me, that
Mm-hmm. Yes.
they'll put an umbrella, they will bring some juice, like they'll treat you like a lady,
Bhabiji.
like
I mean,
not
I had early career Bhabiji syndrome in my clients. So,
so, and then they will not talk slang words in front of you, like whereas it is the most common way of communicating on
colloquial
site. So those things, that is also there. It's always a mix. It's never like one.
of course. But just to understand how things were and are in real time, in life. That brings me to penultimate question, and I hope it is not too taxing for you so far. And this is the only professional question, let me tell you. And it's about, again, as you heard me saying that the research is done with a presumption that the profession is male dominated, and it's not equal to masculine, but to large extent more men are practicing, and the practice is also very masculine. So I would like you to imagine a situation, if this is an imagination, okay, not that I wish that day to arrive. I would never wish that day to arrive. I would wish a gender equal or gender blind profession, and we are all humans working towards built environment. But imagine, and this question is because to reach that gender parity, and it's like exam में ना 100 marks के लिए plan करेंगे तब जाके 70 80 60 मिलेगा ना.
Mhm.
So this question is based on that kind of assumption कि to reach 100. Imagine all the leading architects of the society or in our country are all females. All well-known names were all females. Imagine that day arrives in our country. What do you think our buildings, our neighborhoods, and our cities will look different in that case? It's a hypothetical situation, not to really make it happen, but why not?
That reminds me of a quote by B.V. Doshi. I
Mhm.
think in one of the I don't remember which video I saw it and where I saw it, but he mentions that when you talk about like, because architecture is a living space,
Hmm.
or mostly it starts with the home, and
Hmm.
our women are also known as homemakers, like be architects or non-architects, so they know
Yes.
how spaces are being used in the house, or
Hmm.
or in the larger context, the urban neighborhood. And we have very good uh, like I think Jane Jacobs studies also about how the women's contribution is.
Hmm.
So I think there will be definitely a change, but then who are the builders? Like, if all the architects are female, I get it, but contractors and builders, are they women or are they men? So in
They
your
are not changed.
hypothetical question.
They are not changed in the hypothetical situation.
So
But that's a very good observation.
definitely, in terms of design, that will change, but how it is executed,
Hmm.
because many a times I feel that it was not a design flaw, but it was more of an execution flaw. Not always, but sometimes.
By the way, yesterday Ram Mandir roof started leaking. So again, execution issue. Seriously.
Yeah. So and I'm sure that they must have also kept the quality check in
Hmm.
thing. So the spaces will definitely design and the look of the place, or like how the
What will be
spaces
the
behave will
difference?
change.
What
But
will be the, so let's say the execution will be anyway screwed up if there are all, most of them are men. And let's not go there. But I would still like to understand from you what will be the, some minor changes or major changes in the way buildings are designed, neighborhoods are planned, and cities are looked through.
I think we will probably give more importance to community, because unlike men, like women are more social.
Hmm.
So I think there will be more of consciously designed spaces like verandas or balconies, like which are currently not being thoughtfully designed, like to embrace interactions or things. Because and yeah, and the city, I think it'll be more inclusive, not inclusive in the sense women will feel more safe, like
Hmm.
safety aspect will be uh, default wise taken, like which men may not feel, like
Hmm.
whenever
You
I'm
mean a
designing a
default
street.
parameter in planning the cities?
Yeah, whenever I'm designing a street streetscape, I'm always making sure that there are eyes on the street, like we
Hmm.
have constant activity. So
Hmm.
but those things are not subconsciously coming to a man, because they haven't faced those kind of uh,
Insecurities.
insecurities. So I think those
Hmm.
will be there. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Interesting. So that brings me to the last question, which is very simple, but again, it has two parts. So the first part is, as you know, the profession itself is is in danger. Not it's not a very flourishing profession. So your message to the younger generation, what it is to be in architecture, why they should choose this as an option. So basically, in other words, we are trying to do favor to the profession or also, increase our cloud. Then the second part of the same question is again message to the younger generation. A small behavioral change the younger generation, and when I'm saying younger generation, it means all genders. What small behavioral change they should bring to engender the profession, so that in future we are more gender neutral or balanced or blind, whatever you may call it. Over to you.
Okay, so I'll just tell from my kind of practice
Of
with that
course.
backdrop. So what I realized was what architecture education did not teach me was, though we had professional practice,
Hmm.
but I don't think it was mandatory to meet the clients there, like, or
Hmm.
take their feedback. It was mostly whenever we had from the first year to third year or fourth year, whenever we do a design assignment, it is the academician or the teacher who's giving a feedback based
Hmm.
on the aesthetics or the geometry or the context, climate, all those things in it. But whom are you designing it for? What
Hmm.
are his choices? What are their feedback? So that's how the user feedback is never taken in architecture, I feel. And it is
Yeah, I
more
bring community people in any studio I conduct, or take
certain.
the students to
Yes.
the community. Wahi
Yeah.
present.
So I think that's like wherever we do that, where we involve the community,
Hmm.
we work, there should be dedicated studios where it is compulsorily, like not just one faculty or two faculty. Every faculty should make it a point that, even if it's a residence design, so that the students can pick up a family of their
Hmm.
relative or somebody whom they're designing. They can take their feedback. So
Hmm.
that exercise, if we do, like, which
Hmm.
actually I learned when I was doing my coursework in design. So in
Hmm.
design, it is there is a certain way of thinking and doing it. So I thought, like,
Absolutely.
why didn't this techniques being taught in architectural education?
Yeah,
Things would
so much relate with it. Hmm.
yeah, so तब हम लोगों का design justify हो सकता था. Like I could
Hmm.
have justified some of my designs which were torn down, or like, because that was that link which was missing in architecture education. And I think that is one thing. However much AI or different tools, because tools will be like, probably when you all studied architecture, it was hand drafting, then it shifted to
Yes, it
computer.
was.
Now it
Even
will be
until
AI.
postgraduate.
Yeah, and some days later it will be a magic pencil maybe. But
Hmm,
like, it can be anything, but how you empathize with your client,
hmm.
uh, and hopefully the client also
And
empathizes with you.
and also understand client, and client understands that this is a profession which they
Yes.
actually require, because even till date most of the people build their own houses. And I remember you were mentioning about your father, and that applies to my mother as well. I gave her all the drawings with every 3D and every section, and she just went out and made her own house. And the house does not get any wind, any light, nothing, and 24 hours light jalao. And yes, so this is how. So I think will be also good to know each other, this approach. And I can relate so much with you when you said this, because when I started teaching at NID Gandhinagar, I realized they learn the social engineering skills much thorough, and we don't even touch the social engineering skills, how to understand community and how to make community understand us.
Yeah.
That is completely
Because
missed out.
architecture is always for the elite, right? And so it's like that. So
But then
that's the
elites are also remote controlling us. कि ये लगा दो, ये कर दो, वो कर दो, ये कर दो. But
and
anyway,
yeah,
so
that
how do you think small behavioral changes that younger generation should bring to engender the profession?
younger generation, those who are studying or those who are already into practice,
Both in both ways. Let's say small behavioral changes.
maybe they can
Hmm.
spread awareness. I think our profession is so not like, people still call it architecture, like,
आप architecture है.
like, that those kind of simple things, if like, word of mouth, or like, how do we generate that awareness? Like, let us mingle more with the community than be in our own networks. Like, we have architectural organizations, architecture,
We are
but
not even mingling with our own network. That's my another problem altogether.
yeah, so like, maybe taking it to the masses, making like, making small initiative of spreading this awareness, so that
Mhm.
we keep this profession alive. Otherwise, we are threatened, because there's nothing that saves us from, like, saves an civil engineer from being practicing architecture. So,
Mhm.
and they have the strength of, doing the structural
They
drawing
can
and everything.
construct the building,
Yeah,
unlike an architect.
yeah. So I think that's how you can keep yourself,
Mhm.
visible, alive, or survive, not alive, survive in this competition. So
But then engendering, would you like to address that part? What should we do with each other to engender? Or it's not required? How do you think? Small behavioral changes. I do not wish to push you on this question, but I think it would be good if you can give some message to the younger people.
I think it is difficult to answer. Actually, I can't.
No problem. No problem. Okay. That actually brings an end to the questions from my end. And it is also the time. If you have any question for me, you may please ask.
I think it's an interesting study, and that is because we discuss about it a lot, about the like, issues of patriarchy in our profession.
Huh,
But and there is lot of other things also going on behind this patriarchy, like,
huh.
um, taking advantage of you, like, intellectually, like,
Oh.
yeah. So those kind of things, if it can be documented and, like,
Yeah.
put up, maybe that'll help. Like, in fact, that is what can help, like, and you should probably involve one or two male members also, bombard with this set of questions, and uh,
Mhm.
like, try to see what are their remarks on the same set of questions, and maybe
Yeah,
it'll be
actually,
nice comparative
that's
study.
a very good suggestion, and it is indeed in a plan. But I first want to touch 100 uh, because this is a serious attempt to develop role models. Because when I started reading about this research, and I was already a public speaker by then, I used to go to colleges across the country and ask students, give me names of 5 women architects. And they would just go, mom. So with a lot of embarrassment, I would say that at least name your own teachers, because most of them are women.
Mm.
you know so this is also something which I'm also trying to delimit the very definition as who is architect. Is it somebody who is just practicing, or somebody who is also teaching? And most of the architects are doing both, as I can learn from you. And many women architects, people like me, who have even diversified to a completely different field where they don't even consider. For example, my main research area is water, and even till date, architecture profession is not willing to accept water as part of architecture. There's no architecture college or planning college in the country that teaches water as a subject, not even one credit, by the way. So I know many women who have also diversified in various areas of built environment. That's why I'm keen to talk about built environment also. But I'm going to keep that suggestion in mind and definitely have some men to start talking about it. But as I mentioned, I would first like to reach my target of the research so that we can have substantial work and have more women in the public domain to talk about that these are the role models. And this is also something patriarch. It's not about being woman in architecture, it's being woman in this country. We have only one chief minister as of today. We hardly have less than 10% ministers in the parliament. We hardly have less than 10% bureaucrats. We never had urban development ministry as women. We never had ministry of water and ministry of environment as women. So I'm just telling you from the other side of it. So it's a long battle, and architecture is just one of them. And as you also learned that I'm doing the similar research on women in water. So we have to slowly move into that direction of engendering the sector. And I'm sure you are going to think about what we should do to engender the sector, not only youngsters, but even people like you and me. So thank you so much, Konkuna, and it's really pleasure. And again, once again, thanks a lot to really arrive at such a short notice and have this interaction. For me, it was just flowing like water, and honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed this enlightening interaction, because in here, um, in these conversations, we are trying to share the worries and the wisdom by the woman, for the woman, of the woman in the built environment. And through these, we are trying to learn about women in a regular, disciplined manner, like a master class. So this is more like understanding women more than understanding architecture, but also it gives a glimpse on the architecture. So thanks for this enlightening interaction. May you remain inspiration to people like me and to many more out there. And I'm grateful to have learned about your endeavors. I really wish you best to continue your endeavors, and also hope that you will keep us posted. So we have a group of the previous respondents. So I'm going to bring you there. We shall continue with our conversation on women in architecture, and stay tuned to our social media platforms and keep checking what we are doing next, because after 50 sessions, it has really taken a speed. So I'm really hoping that 100 sessions is not far from here. 50 took 5 years, but I'm hoping that next 50 is going to take 5 months. No harm dreaming about it.
All the
Thanks so much.
best, all the best. And I'm sure that you'll do it very soon.